Welcome to Inquiry, a podcast geared towards students where we discuss all things related to tech, from school to industry.
My name is Annie.
And I'm Daniel, and together, we are your co-hosts.
So for today's episode, so excited to introduce Nastaran. So Nastaran is a passionate, energetic, and seasoned senior technology leader, a software engineer and a computer scientist by education, a certified project manager that holds an MBA in leadership with honors and distinction from the University of Liverpool. She is a public speaker on various disciplines of technology strategy, and her academic education has been complemented by completing Harvard Business School's Executive Leadership Program. She challenges the status quo and makes conventional practices, is a risk taker and alert decision maker. She has a proven make it happen and keep all happy personality. Nastaran has multiple computer software and project management publications, is a strategic mentor on various nonprofit organizations, and is the former chair of Canadian Women in Technology, Southwestern Ontario Waterloo Region, a division of the Canadian Advanced Technology Alliance that assists women entrepreneurs, mentors young women, and supports initiatives that increase the number of tech jobs for women and the number of leadership roles for women in technology. We are so honored to have you here on this podcast, Nastaran. Would you be able to start us off by telling everyone a little bit more about yourself?
Pleasure to be here. It's awesome to see these initiatives are taking root, and we can never have enough of it. There can never be enough of the equality and making sure that we have the same number of the male input as the female input into the industry. Telling you a little bit about myself, I want to consider myself a very deep geek techie. At the same time, I want to consider that you cannot just be a techie and stay in your environment and look into the tech and just think that with being the best technologist, you can actually make a difference. You need to actually find out the influence and the reason behind making any technology. So at the end of the day, one of the major focuses for me is the human side of the tech, making sure that what we are building as technologists is actually solving problem for the audience, and it is not technology for the sake of technology. I have started my career 27 years ago. I got my software engineering degree from Azad University in Tehran, and have worked and found my way into the different lay of land of the technology groups in Tehran for about 8-10 years. Moved across the globe, multiple places, have been calling Canada home for the past 20 years, and being proud Canadian, leveraging all the amazing possibilities that this beautiful land is providing for us, letting us basically to be ourselves and truly believing in there is no limit to your ambition, and the only thing that you cannot do is think that you don't want to do. I have, in my career path, I have been very blessed with amazing multiple different mentors, male and female, that helped me to actually grow. I have been blessed with many high-tech organizations to work for, and many non-high-tech retail and banking and financial institute organization. When you are in the industry for more than 27 years, the chance that you have been moving through multiple of those companies is very high. And that to me is the beauty of it, because you will get to be exposed to different industries while you are staying true to your main base as a technologist. So when you are building a e-commerce, when you are building a network environment, when you are building so many things that we all now calling them under the umbrella of the technology, the beauty of it is you will be exposed to so many different things. Today, I am in the QSR industry. It's the quick serve restaurant. I'm learning so many things about how the food is actually being prepared, how it is in the industrial way is coming to, people's table. And to me, this is one of the best things, one of the best perk of our industry and our skills. So across the path, as I was building my knowledge and being trained and coached by various people and through the various industry, I have realized that knowing technology alone is not enough. I was blessed to be put in a path to go and get an MBA and learn how to translate the conversation between a technologist to a group of non-techies. Many places differentiate between technology and business. I would say technology is the business. There is no differentiation. Our business is technology. And for us, I actually divide it selfishly to techies and non-techies. So functional experts and technical experts, for the lack of a better term. And that was an amazing addition to how it helped me to become someone that can actually bring value and add value from a different angle. So with that move, I have been able to expand and extend the power of the technology through teams that I lead, through the groups that I manage for making the goal. If I want to summarize all of this in one thing that I have learned, it will all go towards how is always bigger than what. We can build a system, we can put a project in a best scope and budget and finish it on time. We can make all of this happen, and they have an expiry date. The part that doesn't have expiry date is the how we have done this. And that's where it's taking my attention to the human side of the work. People will remember the way that they felt when they received their first kind of solution technology on certain things. So in a nutshell, how above what?
Oh, that's incredible and so insightful. Thank you so much for that. Now, I want to take it back a little bit into the very beginning. Can we talk about what got you first into technology? What interested you most about it?
I grew up in a family with a majority of the focus to be on the medical aspect. So myself and my sister were the only one basically that took a different path, not 100% by choice. I wanted to become a dentist. Growing up, that was all that I was thinking about. Would I make a good dentist? Possibly, but I'm very happy with the path that was put in front of me, and being able to actually now even helping dentistry's industry with the technology that comes behind it. So in a way, I would see technology as a base and some sort of a mother base for many other industries that are coming to the picture. And for that matter, I'm very happy that I did not get into a dental school.
Well, no, I've clearly worked out for you. Very happy that you're where you are now. So, you also mentioned having a background in tech and having that supplemented by obtaining an MBA. So, how would you say that obtaining an MBA impacted your career?
It helped me understand the other side of the table, to understand it is not always technology that can actually fix the issue. Sometimes it's the business processes. Sometimes it is the way that we are doing the work that needs to change, our habit that needs to change. It is not that always a technology solution can fix. Technology can enable it, can help, but it is not always the only thing that can help us with that. And quite frankly, when you are not paying attention to the other side, you become a little bit obsolete and you start actually seeing it as two sides. But when you have one of your foot on the, knowing for the, again, lack of better term, the other side, you will be able to build that bridge. I wouldn't recommend getting an MBA right away after your engineering, because one of the main things that learning an MBA will help you with is being able to actually, as you're studying it, applying it to your study and having a case studies that actually has happened. So I almost got my MBA, I think about 15 years after I was an engineer. And that about 15 years was a good background knowledge that helped me understand, hey, change management from a business perspective. I know examples that did not go well because of this and this and that. I had some level of the tangible first-hand experience in the industry before taking it to actually applying it as a master's of the business administration.
Oh, that's really great insight there. So you mentioned having taken that time to work actually in the industry. Could you tell us a little bit more of where you headed right after graduation?
So I actually started my first full-time job in a bank in Iran. And at that time, you could not be a full-time student and a full-time worker. I guess it is still in many places that you either need to be part-time in one of them. So being young and naive, I told university that I am working part-time and I work my work that I am studying part-time. I ended up with two things full-time, not knowing that what load I'm taking myself. So the 4-year program for me ended up to be finished with 5 years, but I had almost 4.5 years worth of the tax paid, benefit paid, and everything else with it. So I would do again, especially for the technologists. When you are in the first, second year, it is very possible to start and getting some entry-level job and start applying your work and activities in action. This is a blessing that many other industries don't have. I have not very broad view of what other industries, when you are in a certificate degree or in a degree, you can right away start the work. But the technology is definitely one. You can easily, with learning some of the programming language in the first year or second year.
Awesome. So would you be able to tell us a little bit more about your journey from your first job towards where you are now?
I got married at 21. I got married to my best friend and classmate. We were friends for 4 years, dated for 3 months, and decided that this is it for us. We have been enjoying living together and building a life with the two amazing daughters for the past 27 years. So the journey that I have started was very much in alignment with growing up with my husband as we were building this together. We have started our task and our job with many of the build up for the translation of the books. So back in Iran, there is a very specific prejudice, for the lack of better term, that you will read everything in Farsi. You will not read the original, even in the very scientific material. I'm sure it has changed a lot, but when we were in the university 27 years ago, you actually had to read all of the technology related material as well. Not that you have to, it was available to you in Farsi. So one of the main things that my husband and I did, along with a couple of our classmates and friends, was we have started collaboration on building the dictionary for how to translate the technical term of a technology industry to Farsi. Now that I'm looking back on those words, some of them are still very interesting and looks like a genius build, but some of them are really funny when you go through it and see the translation of the word by word. So my career started with this, basically working full-time when I was in the second term of the university in a bank. I was an analyst, started the work, and at that time, there was no differentiation between a programmer and an analyst. You will be called programmer analyst, and you were the architect, you were the designer, you were the UX, you were the UI encoder, tester. Everything was on your own shoulder. And at the same time, I was building a inventory system for that bank as well. Now, again, looking back at that period, it is such a bittersweet kind of memory, remembering that those activities now are handled by robust organizations as they have grown. So along with that, and having multiple kind of translation, second job and third job with my husband as we were building our life, we have decided that we want to explore what else and is offered from the life perspective. So we moved to Canada. came here right about the time that was after 9/11, and many of the jobs were actually in a frozen state. So for us that were used to earning, it was a very difficult, basically, situation. I have seen many of our similar situation friends and classmates had to start from a different perspective. I was lucky that I did not have to switch industry or switch my job. I started my first job in Canada as a project manager in CGI. Learned a lot, had our second daughter at that time. And through that is just the history of building and growing with the different Canadian industries.
I keep on repeating myself, but honestly, you're so inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, would you be able to tell us what are some struggles that you faced or some challenges that you faced so far in your career, in your journey?
I don't want to sound a perpetual optimist, but at the same time, any of those word struggles truly is a way of doing things different. And that means opening up a door for a different way of being successful. Is this the best approach? It worked for me, and it helped me to keep my chin up even in the most difficult time that I was going through. Anyone in the technology industry knows that being hired and fired is a rapid thing part of the work. I had my share of being redundant and sitting at the table that, my manager was looking at me and saying, "We love you, but we have to let you go." So those situations was some of the most struggling part for me, mostly because I'm not coming from a background that is used to this. Back home, back in Iran, when you started a job, you could have easily retired there and that was it. But here in North America, we really need to be ready for this kind of fireballs that will be dropped on our lap, and making sure how we can actually, instead of burning ourselves, using that fireball for making something better out of it. I was lucky that every time that this happened to me, I was given a chance to go to a bigger and more exciting position. So I would say those were my major struggle. You would hear, or you would probably were expecting for me to say, being the most of the time a single person female at the table, which has been. But I don't know if it is because of my upbringing or it's because I truly don't see or consider gender. I have never felt it that way. Well, there are 10 male around the table, one of them, they are one of me. So personally don't see that as a struggle, but I can see that it has been and it is a real struggle in many cases when the equal opportunity is not given.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Before we move too much into the women in tech space, then would you be able to tell us a little bit more about just in general as the CTO of KFC in Canada? What does a typical week look like for you?
Well, it's an interesting time to be at KFC Canada because we are building up and revamping so many things with the goal of being number one digital restaurant in Canada. With that, with one simple sentence of being the number one digital restaurant, anyone that has started looking into the technology lay of land can think and see what does it mean and how much of the different complex review and analysis and system needs to be put in place. So my days at KFC starts normally with working on a prioritized list of things that needs to happen. It helps a lot to be a project manager in heart. I have gone through 2 years of a training for being a project manager as well. And that aspect was very helpful because now I can truly prioritize the work and see with the limited resource and limited time that we have, which task needs to be done first. What we are doing now is reviewing the health of our systems and seeing where are the area that we need to change and building a roadmap for those changes to take place.
Thank you so much for that. So, more specific, as a CTO, would you be able to tell us a little bit more of the job and what it entails?
So, definition of the chief technology officer is a very wide definition today across the different companies and even within the same kind of brand. In some places, a CTO is the one that is running the show. If you're talking about technology industry, if you are talking about, for instance, an e-commerce industry and so on and so forth. But in many places, including where I am, CTO is the one that is in partnership and collaboration work with the rest of the C-suite to make things happen. So in a way, you are the enabler and you are the driver from time to time as it happens. Think about all things that you will encounter when you go to have a KFC meal. You want to order from site. You might want to order from your aggregator like Uber. You might want to go to the store and purchase it, your drive-through. And behind each one of these, there is a technology solution sitting. And all of this needs to actually work in a hub brain kind like of the back of the kitchen industry that can actually work properly together. For instance, how you have your inventory of the produce ready, how you have your planning available, how many chicken per day should I cook actually for it not to be wasted and at the same time not to have people waiting at my door. So all of these are managed through technology. Now you can see the importance and the added value of a technologist to the group. Either one of this fail, there will be a longer queue, there will be a stale food. So there are so many things in a command center that are run by technology, and me and my team are building those lay of land for making it a sustainable and a scalable environment.
Awesome. Yeah. So, what are some of your favorite projects that you've worked on so far?
Oh, that's not a fair question because it's like asking which children do you like more? I love them all equally. Even those troublesomes that at the end turn good, even those that look good but it doesn't turn very good. But many of them have been, if you ask any of the project managers and technologists, you will carry a couple of scars with you as you move forward with those. But those are the bittersweet scars that you will cherish, and they are the reason for your maturity as you go forward. I like them all. I will love them more when they are actually tackling a human problem.
Awesome. Okay, so moving more into, I guess, the women in tech space, you've done a lot of inspiring and amazing work in this space. Would you be able to tell us a little bit more about whether you, as an individual, have you ever experienced imposter syndrome, or do you have any tips for people who do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it is inevitable. You, as a capital U, basically, should be very naive thinking that anything that can happen, you can immediately jump on it and do. So there will be situation in life that you will be put in a place that it is new, it is scary, it is complex, and you will start doubting yourself. Anyone that says that they didn't have it ever, they are lying. They are not being honest. Everyone will have it. What does matter is how you interact with it, how you deal with it. And that's the part that we need to pay attention and focus. First of all, the reason for feeling that way has root to two things. One is the capability of the person. Second is how that person has been enabled. The capability is something in your own hand. Learn it. Go above and beyond and be the best at it. Set that aside as a liability of not being capable. So no one can actually question the work that you are doing. And if there is any question, it's just for validation. Second part of it is the enablement. And the enablement is really the ecosystem and the society that we have. People that are sitting on a decision-making position to make sure that the enablement is in place. So in a summarized version, a capable person can be the best version of themselves. And that's the part that what we are doing, making sure that women in tech have similar enablement that the rest of the demographic have.
And that's absolutely so important. So, would you be able to tell us a little bit more about the different initiatives that you're part of in this space?
I have started working with a couple of universities and helping them with sharing of the journey, sharing and being a person available to the members of that university that need to have some advice, need to actually see it, need a mentor, need a coach to see what does it look like. Interesting enough, in some of those classes or sessions that we would have gone, everyone would look at me and said, "Are you an engineer?" And I would say, "Yep." "Do you want to arm wrestle over a code?" I can start with that. But the fun part is the mindset that we have when we start working towards this, and the stereotype that if you are an engineer, you should only be washed out face with no attention to your appearance and so and so. This is not true. All of this can actually sit in the same kind of person, and you can be the fashion loving engineer while you can write the best code and enjoy that competition from that matter as well. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but the initiatives that I'm involved is mostly around a couple of universities and individual persons that are reaching out from the industry through the LinkedIn that I am helping them. And I'm also involved with the strategic mentorship with a couple of startups and helping mostly the female startups and entrepreneurs to understand the lay of land and helping them from both technology and business perspective for growing their tech business, how they can actually take it forward and opening up some of the possibilities that they might not have been aware because they haven't been there. So again, with the 27, almost 30 years comes those level of the white hair that you can share and pass on.
Awesome. Yeah. So you've briefly touched on how you have people reaching out to you via LinkedIn for mentorship. Do you have any advice for students in particular in terms of how they can reach out to people to ask for mentorship?
Be mindful of the timing that that person can provide, but never let that to be a true constraint for you. Do your homework first. Don't just go around and say, "Okay, I like the title of this person, let me go and ask her or him to be my mentor." Do your homework first and define, when I grow up, who do I want to be? When you have that answer, go after that person and latch and never leave them. That's still something that I have in me. I still am enjoying from receiving the mentorship from a lot of great teachers that have done a lot more than what I have done and are willing to actually share with me. So, and I'm latching to them and never letting them go. So that's the part that I would suggest. Do your homework first. Find out who exactly you want to learn from, and then explain why do you want to learn from that person. The chance that you can hit the spot with a proper explanation is very high, and it doesn't matter how busy they are. Finding half an hour here and there for a chat is always possible. So approach it from the right angle and be persistent.
Awesome. The very great insight. Thank you so much for that. And in terms of getting more women involved in even some of the initiatives that you're part of, what would you say is the best way in particular to encourage young women, especially to get involved in the field of tech?
First of all, making sure that they know they can. They don't have anything less. And the reason that I emphasize on there is nothing less in female is not just because I consider myself a feminist, it's because I really care about the industry itself. I feel if there is no input from females to the technology industry, there is something big missing. We think different, we act different, we execute different. And that diversity, for that term, is really something that can help to grow the industry. So it is altruistic. But at the same time, it is because I think that industry will miss if there is not equality between the two of them. So we go back to what was the question, if I answered it right.
Oh, yeah, good. Essentially, what's the best way you think for women to get involved in tech?
Believing yourself. Literally, this is a cliche, but if you don't believe in yourself, how on earth are you expecting someone else will? Believe in yourself, uh, make yourself believable at the same time. Increase your capability, do your legwork. These kind of rights are something that will not fall into your skirt. You need to actually work for it. You need to prove that you are the one that can do that. And at the same time, be persistent, go after it. If this is something that you truly think you can add value, don't take an answer for a no. Again, these all goes back to the section of the capability. There is the section of enablement as well, that it is not on them. They need to find out organizations that actually are celebrating and enabling this kind of diversity and go after them. The others probably don't deserve having that talent either.
Yeah. So you mentioned kind of honing your skills and working on it to really prove yourself. Do you have any tips on how to do that, whether it be kind of courses you can take or particular areas you might recommend females to work on specifically?
Well, entertain your curiosity. I would not have one single area to go through. If you are targeting a financial institute, you want to be a technologist in that place, learn about finance. See how they are working. If you want to build an app for a restaurant, go sit on that restaurant, see exactly how it is working. So as you are building this stuff, you are engaging your extended knowledge learning and knowledge sharing through the real life. So many of it is through, again, going through the courses related to the topic that you want to build your career above. But more importantly, be curious and be involved. Engage yourself with as many of these kind of conversation as possible. Look for the conversation of successful female leaders that, thank God, the numbers is growing and growing, and we have more and more of those sisters around us to help us and understand. So be curious is the only summary that I can provide here.
Oh, for sure. And more specifically, moving into perhaps women who are interested in taking on leadership roles, or just in general, anyone who's interested in perhaps following after your footsteps. What kind of advice would you have for them?
First of all, be real. Leadership, as glorious as it might look like, which it is a heavy responsibility as well. You are not a leader to boss people around. You are a leader to pave the road for them to be the best version of themselves. So it means the responsibility is on you, and you need to be prepared for it. You need to be capable for it. Mentally, physically, socially, you need to be ready for taking the load from your team as well, and completely stripping yourself from ego. Leadership is not for someone that has ego, because you are not there to serve yourself. You are there to serve the team and benefit from the success of the team at the same time. I'm not saying these are all just for the sake of the others. There are so many perks and benefits when you are a successful leader, but they are all a subsequent and a bonus part when it comes after you have done a good job managing and leading your team separately. For doing so, I would say increase your listening skills. Be good at truly hearing and listening to people and putting yourself on their shoes, seeing why this person is actually resisting on something, or why she or he didn't do it the way that I wanted. Truly put yourself on their shoes and find out how you can make the situation better.
That's such a, I think, life-changing mindset to have, especially for someone who's looking to get into that space. Now, for you, would you say that it just came more naturally to you, your transition from more of a programmer role, as we discussed earlier, into more of a leadership position? Or is it something that you had to do work to push into?
If I want to be very, very honest, part of it is because I have never been an awesome programmer. I have been a very good one, but I've never been an awesome programmer. And for you to actually have a fulfilling kind of programming career, you really need to be awesome at it. Kidding aside, there are portion and parts in your career path that you realize you can do more. When you are a good lead with 2-3 people in your team, instead of the collective to be 4, the collective can be 10 if they are managed right, if they are efficient enough. And that was a good realization for me in one of the opportunities that I have been given. And since then, I have started to tap on that part and make things happen through paving the road for the rest of the team.
Incredible. Yeah, I'm paving the road for the rest of us too. Again, you're such an inspiration. Now, pulling it back to just tech in general, where do you see the future of tech going?
Tech is future. There is no doubt that the growth of a technology in this speed is the only future that is only thing that it is shaping our future. And truly, people that are not coming to the same train are going to be missing the proper interaction in a couple of years to come. I have been part of the generation that have seen non-very tech society and now being in a society with the social media and everything. And I'm comparing people who decided to stay there and not basically adapt technology, how much they are missing. It's a choice, but there is a limit to that choice until it is a liability and is a constraint. So future is tech. Anyone who decides to be on tech, I can guarantee, I don't have a crystal ball, but I guarantee you that you are going to have a very fulfilling future. Especially you can start earning money at a very early stage of your career, which is important.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, for students who are interested in tech, what is your biggest piece of advice for them?
Try to enjoy the fact that it is a magical, mysterious land. What is more magic than you write some code here in this side of the world, and somewhere on the other side of the world, a package can be handed to someone else because of the system that you have built. I can give you many, many other kind of magical examples of this. Point of the matter is, if it is something that you decide to do, like any other path that you take, you really need to give it all. You cannot just say, I will do my best. You need to do whatever it takes to make it happen.
Incredible. Yeah. So, going back on the line of advice, what's one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
Take it easy. It will pass. One of my mentors was giving me a wake-up call after a failed release. We were supposed to release something on a Friday afternoon, didn't happen. And I was so unhappy. I'm talking about almost 20 years ago. And the comment that mentor gave me was, who dies? I said, no one, but our system didn't go live. He said, okay, make it live on Monday. And although with that came a lot of financial issue because we were supposed to be live on Friday and we didn't, but it gave me a good wake-up call that there is a blackest black, that if you have not hit that part, take it easy. And there is always a different way and approach that you can go. And quite frankly, with this example, when we went live on Monday and Tuesday on that specific release, it was such a better way of taking it live that I wouldn't see it if it was done first time. So I would tell my younger one, take it easy. Don't be lazy, but more live in the moment.
That's awesome. So, what would you say would be the most rewarding aspect of your job?
Most rewarding aspect of my job. growing the team. Building a technologist, to me, is the most rewarding aspect. Projects will come and go. Companies will come and go. The technologists that you build will extend, will remain, and they multiply as they start teaching the rest. So to me, that's the most rewarding part. Beside the fact that I get to truly call myself a geek, and I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so one last question just for fun to close us off here today. Do you have a good book recommendation? I heard you are an avid reader.
There are many books that I actually want to suggest the reader to go through. If you're asking me to name one, I will be very, very hard pressed to call one. At the same time, I always have multiple book running. One of the latest one that I have read was Sense Making. I truly enjoyed reading it. I love literature, and I read through the many of the old and new literature kind of work as well. The work in hand that I'm reading through is Haruki Murakami's 1Q84. They call him Kafka of Japanese literature. So that's what I'm reading on the literature side. And in hand for the other reading is Connectum. It's how the wired between the different sections of the brain work together. So that's a very good read as well.
Awesome. We'll make sure to link those down below for anyone interested. But thank you so much for sharing all of this incredible insight today, as well as book recommendations. Overall, do you have any final pieces of advice that you'd like to add for our listeners?
Have fun. Enjoy the moment. It's truly important. As you start building up your capability of enjoying the moment, the rest of the things will start falling into place. So find that balance and live in the moment as well. Many of us learn this way late into our life, but nevertheless, I keep saying it and try to actually follow it myself.
Incredible. This was Nastaran. Thank you once again. We really appreciate having you on here. It is our honor and our pleasure.
My pleasure. Enjoyed truly our conversation, and wishing the best of luck for all the amazing ladies that are listening and are thinking and considering tech. You won't go wrong. Pick it, be master at it, call yourself a geek later on, and enjoy life. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in and having us be a part of your journey to code your future.
Make sure to follow us on social media to stay in the loop and for a chance to have your questions answered in our next episode. See you then.